Welcome back to Tea and Stuff. Here with me today is a very special guest, Vincent, the owner, creator of MyTeaPal, which is started as an application and it's built into a community. I'll let you. I was introduced to you very, very early on in the conceptual phase of this, so it's been for me, it's been a pleasure to watch you grow. But from your perspective, I'd love to hear about the MyTeaPal app and just what it took to get that going.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Jeff, for having me here today.
Of course.
Yeah, I think we've known each other for over 2 years already. And initially, I think I was just browsing on Instagram and I found you. And I was just amazed, how by the Instagram tea space, all the tea bloggers and tea vendors, this entire tea community was a shock for me. So I found you and I reached out. I think that's how we met, right? And then I had a call with you to learn more about the online tea space, the tea community, and also trying to understand more about like tea sourcing from the perspective of vendors and for online tea shops in the US, how does it work? So yeah, I think I was still in the exploration phase before I actually started designing MyTeaPal. I was just trying to understand more about the online tea community. So, and you've been really helpful in the beginning.
It was very apparent to me, like, because like a lot of people come to me time to time with like ideas of like things that they want to start or business ideas that they're thinking about around tea. And some of them you hear and you're like, well, you're supportive, but at the same time you're like, oh, good luck to them. But, you don't have like a special feeling, but right upon talking to you, you knew that there was a need for a tea, either app or website resource where people can not only log their drinking experiences, but like get a lot of those communal aspects that are great in Instagram, and then create an app then around that to build. But like I said, like you said, in the very beginning of the phase, it was just, I want to do something. I'm not exactly sure what. Here are the reasons for me wanting to do it. Here's the hole I think there is that I could possibly find a way to fill. And so you were just like, we had a couple phone conversations where it was literally like, okay, say there were the perfect tea app. Like, say this thing already exists. We were like, what features would it have? And I remember that was one of the busiest parts of it, was just trying to figure out what elements to migrate over from something like Instagram, and then
something like that, right?
paying homage, like not in so much a stealing sense, in like a you saw what was there, you saw the potential, and you said, that's another one that you said, I want this as an influence.
Right. And I think back then I was just a college junior, and I didn't have to worry about anything except for just running my tea club, and also thinking about what can I do with my technical skills that I learned from my computer science degree. And I just wanted to contribute something to the tea community. So I think I was just really passionate and focused on building something that's good and that people would use. So yeah, I spent a lot of time just trying to understand the market, because it was really surprising for me to first learn about some Facebook tea groups, like the Gong Fu Cha group and others. And then
there's some good ones. There's some good ones on Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. And I never expected that Gong Fu Cha is so popular worldwide, because I even while running my tea club at Duke, I didn't connect with many tea enthusiasts because they are spread out in every corner of the world.
Yeah.
But the internet is what brings them together. So yeah, it was very encouraging for me to see all the people online discussing about Gong Fu Cha, and just I wished to build something because there hasn't been a good tea app or something that lasted very long. Steepster lasted for a few years, being very active. Now it's still live, but it's not definitely. It cannot be compared as what it was before. And I actually talked to Jason, one of the three co-founders, a few times. That was in 2020, before I fully launched MyTeaPal, to hear what he did and what he had tried and what his advice would be for me. And he's also been really helpful, and also helped me realize that building a database is probably not something that's easily doable because it requires lots of moderation and removing duplicates, removing spam, and it's really hard to monetize. Although back then I didn't consider that much about monetization because in the first year of MyTeaPal, there after launching it for the 1 year, there's no revenue for me as well. But
Yeah.
only after starting the tea club there, I was able to get some revenue by sending those tea boxes. But yeah, didn't consider that much. Back then it was just
These tea boxes.
oh yes. Are you going to unbox it?
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. After this airs and stuff, I'll do a
Mhm.
video where I just tear through a couple of those babies.
Okay, sounds good. Those are shampoos. Yeah, hope you enjoy them.
But yeah, so you
Mhm.
see the it started with conceptualizing,
Mhm.
and then like you said, then it's like okay, so it looks like the form it's going to take is an app. But
Right.
did you have any prior experience in app development or anything like that?
Nope. Actually, it's my first mobile app. I didn't know how to build a mobile app before that. I took a lesson in software design and implementation, but we used Java to build a desktop app. And for mobile app, it's a totally different thing. It only became popular over the past decade or so, right? The App Store launched in late 2007. And
Yeah.
then recently, recent few years, lots of startups and app developers, they are seeing there's simply too many apps, and people don't want to download an app on their phone, right? So the growth for like the appearance of an exceptional app that would make people want to download and keep on their phone is pretty difficult. So when I first started thinking about building a tea app, I talked to my friend who is also an entrepreneur, and he told me, well, maybe you don't have to build an app in the first place because you need to think back about what problem you're trying to solve and what's the best way for you to deliver the value. It doesn't have to be an app. So I started rethinking, and that's also when I started reaching out to lots of people online to learn more about the tea space and all the pain points that people are having. And but then I came back to still the idea of an app. But at that point, I was more. I could justify myself by
Right.
saying, "Yeah, I know why I want to build this app." Because think about it. For wine, for beer, there are really good apps, and that have millions of users. But for coffee, for tea, there hasn't been a good app that would that's in the same scale as those apps like Vivino or Untapped. So I was just thinking, how there must be some potential for a good T app to come about. And I was looking at app stores. There was actually a Duke alum who built a T app 10 years ago. That was such a coincidence. And that
Oh,
app is
really?
called T. Yeah, it's called T for iPhone. It's a paid app. You might have seen it in the App Store if you searched for T, and it still exists. And it came out in 2010. And back then, apps
Wow.
were just starting. And this guy, Sam, he built this app and maintained it for 1 or 2 years. And I saw that I think this app got over 80,000 downloads. And each download would cost 2.99 or 3.99. I think it was originally 3.99 and then it became 2.99. I think now it's still 2.99. So it was, a fairly good like way to monetize that. But I think that just compares with his average salary as a software engineer. But still, that was
Mhm.
a good attempt. But he didn't continue maintaining it.
And then I
Yeah.
know I know there was also the when Mayleaf overhauled their website and they made it super interactive and it
Mm,
I did they have an app version of it? I'm not sure, but I know that it was like you could use it on your mobile or whatever, and it was a great
mm,
way to like you could log tea experiences. But the one complaint, not complaint, but criticism I'd kind of hear amongst the praise is I would hear that it's so great, we love it, but we wish we
mhm,
could log other teas in it. We love
mm,
Mayleaf, that we're like maybe that's the primary place where we like to buy our tea, but wouldn't it be cool? Like I wish that we could. A lot of them would say, I wish I could say with me, they're like, I wish I could add one of your teas in there
mhm,
so that way I could log my experience. So although that website was so awesome and there's so much you can do within it, it left some people that
mhm,
wanted a little bit more universality in it. They didn't want it to be
mm,
like trademarked. And I know that was something that you were pretty adamant about in the beginning is that you didn't want it to lean too far one way or to one vendor, or you really wanted it to be a way, like you said, to be a database.
mhm. Yeah, it's just too complicated to be a database. And then even today, I get some requests from users saying, "Hey, why can't I find other vendors, or I can't find any vendors on yours? It's different from what I expected." And I was like, "Sorry, this is not designed as a database. It's a personal tea journal, and you can also connect with others to see what they are drinking, but it's not like." Products linked to a certain vendor where you can see their listings. Um, yeah, there was out of um, my reach at back then because I started developing it myself and I didn't have anyone with me on the team, so I had to be really lean about what I'm building. Um, and as I said, it's the first mobile app that I developed. And I designed the prototype using a nerd UI UX design. So I designed each screen, how each screen would lead to another, which buttons to press, and the entire flow. So I nerd that from scratch, and then I nerd about mobile app development from scratch. Luckily, I picked a framework that allows me to just have one code base to deploy both on iOS and Android. So that's more pretty convenient. I don't have to, start a new code base just for Android users or iOS users. So that saved lots of time for me. So I was very intentional about selecting what kind of technologies and choosing my strategy to build a minimal viable product, as we say, an MVP that would just accomplish the purpose and still address the problem, but that costs the least amount of effort. So I had to be like that because I'm the one person team. So, but after I published my app, I started having some student interns So that helped reduce some work in certain areas, but then I put my time in other aspects of the business. But now I'm back to just being the full-time one-person team. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of nice. Like it really started from literally just a conceptualizing stance. You're just like looking at the sky and thinking, "Hey, what could be?" And then, there was lots of development. I saw you were just talking with and communicating with so many people in the tea, in the different tea communities and stuff like that. And you were really, as well as developing the app, you also really focused on ingraining into these communities and really learning about how they work and what works for them and what doesn't. And I remember you launching the demo version,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I remember being like blown away by how sharp it looked, how clean it looked. um and I did know that you had no experience. I knew you were and you had no money like funding it. It was
Mm-hmm.
just it was just you figuring out how to do it, and it just progresses as you learn the things you need to learn to get there. So
Mm-hmm.
to have seen it go that far was really cool, really really cool. And so from there, you released the demo. Then you
Right.
were able, which it didn't have the quite the full communal aspect yet.
Right.
It first launched as like a journal,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah,
the
that was
primary idea
yeah,
of it.
that's the core function of MyTeaPal. And the 1.0, it the beta testing version was ready in September 2020. And then I released the early access to some members, including you. And then so you saw that version. It was not that polished. And then in November, I launched the 1.0 version. And then I spent the next half a year developing the social functions, like adding TPALs and sharing posts. And it was launched in May of 2021. So 13 months um, earlier. Yeah. And now the 3.0 is almost ready. But speaking of this, I feel guilty because I haven't programmed for over 3 months. Yeah, it's
You've
just
been
because of the spring season. Yeah,
doing
traveling
other
for tea.
things,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
traveling for tea, visiting tea regions in China. So I wasn't able to just switch my mode into the programming mode. And but I'm ready to get back to it because people are waiting for the 3.0. There's some advanced functions, but yeah, I hope
But
to get back to it soon. So
but it's been amazing that you did start putting together these like regional or T type specific packages.
mhm. Yeah, thank you.
That so like I said, you built yourself a community from the ground up without I mean, you knew that this was to be a business, but it wasn't about making money. It really was about the tea. So once
Mhm,
you did get your footing, the app is out, people are into the MyTeaPal thing, and they're all of a
mhm,
sudden now you do have this community that's following a MyTeaPal app community. So then you were able to start doing these like what would you call them? Like subscriptions or
yeah, a tea club or tea subscription box.
and so then you have been and now again fast forward a little bit, you're
Mhm,
now going to the
mhm,
regions. You're able to do filming, you're able to just get that hands-on experience, talk with these
mhm,
farmers that who knows if their product is even making it outside of their country. And it's
mhm,
really cool that then you're able to take all that experience and all that curation, and you're then taking that back, and then you're improving the community you've built with that, but then you're also still advancing with the app. Like you didn't
Mm-hmm.
build the app, get the features that we initially figured out needed to
Mm-hmm.
be there, and then you just stopped. And you just said,
Yeah.
okay, there you go. Give it to the people. Just let them have it.
Mm-hmm.
You really are constantly, which you have to, I think you have to do. You have to
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
be
Software
developing.
never ends. This is the quote in the tech industry. Software, there's always things to improve upon for softwares. And I get feedback from my users from time to time. And I still have one email that I haven't replied. And I read through, I opened it, it looked like an academic paper. And I counted it, word counter, it's close to 2,000 words. And it pointed out 10 things um, the user wanted me to change or improve, but I haven't. Yeah, it's been really
Wow.
busy, so I need to really get on to it and reply it. Hopefully,
Sitting down. Well,
in the
that's a lot.
next couple of days.
That's a lot to digest because you want to take
Hmm.
it seriously. You really want to give it your time and your focus to sit there and listen to what this person has to say, because
Yeah.
whether you fully agree with everything that's going to be in there or not, I'm sure there's going to be some things you're going to be able to take away and go, I hadn't thought of
Hmm.
that or hadn't
Yeah.
seen that before.
Hmm. That's very important.
What's the overall feedback been with the app? I mean, everything I've heard,
Hmm.
I see your MyTeaPal app pop up all the time on my feed. So
Really.
I know that the people that I follow are fond of
Hmm.
it, but what is your overall customer, if you will, satisfaction?
Hmm. Yeah, I think most of the emails that I get would start with, "I've been loving your app." So that's a good sign, and I'm very happy to see that. And then they will give some minor suggestions, or sometimes, yeah, depending on the users. I think they seem to be happy because I can also tell from some ratings on App Store and Google Play. It looks like on App Store we have 4.9, and Google Play it's like somewhere between 4.8 and 4.9. And then there are about, I think, somewhere close to 400 ratings on each platform. So yeah, so it looks like I think half of these reviews came within the first half a year of launching MyTeaPal, and because people got really excited about the app after I launched it. I remember receiving some messages, some from some people on Instagram, and saying, "I've been waiting for this kind of app for 5 years or something." It's like, wow, you and from a couple of software engineers, they emailed me saying, "This is exactly what I wanted to build, and you built it. So keep it up." So yeah,
Wow. That's
um,
a compliment to
yeah.
hear,
So
especially from somebody who
mhm,
had a similar idea. You know what I
mhm,
mean? To hear the
yeah,
compliment from them, that's pretty significant.
yeah. So I'm flattered to hear those kind words from my users, and I think actually, fun fact, when I published my TPAL, hasn't I hadn't graduated yet.
Hmm.
So, and while working on it, I was still unsure whether I wanted to take a tech job or be a full-time founder. And in my internship, um, after my junior year, I would code for my internship in the day, and then I'll code for my TPAL in the night. And I found that I enjoyed my work in the evening more. I just enjoyed working on my own stuff. And then while doing beta testing and preparing for the release, I saw more people being interested in my TPAL, and I can see, um, I just felt um, the impulse to keep working on it. And um, so I don't let them down. And I think it was really fun building something that's innovative that no one had done before. So I decided to uh, not take a tech job and just work on my TEFL myself. So yeah, I graduated 1 month after releasing my TEFL. Yeah, and yeah, and now it's been a year and a half since I formally graduated. I guess like I actually graduated 1 semester early, so but I'm class of 2021, so now it's like 1 year after graduation. But in fact, I've been working full time for almost 2 years. Like ever since the pandemic started, I started pouring more time into my TPAL. So
Man, it for me, and a lot of people, it's really funny for me when people say, "Hey, have you heard of this MyTeaPal app?" And I go, "Yeah, I know quite a bit about the MyTeaPal app."
yep.
And they're like, "Oh, how amazingly cool is it?" I go, "I know." I go, "It's really phenomenal." Uh, I don't use it as much as I should, but it's only simply because I'm a person that if I'm on my phone, typically it's business.
Mm-hmm.
Like I typically
Yeah.
don't do a lot of like play on my phone,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah. That's understandable.
every time there's an update, I pop in to see the update, and then I'll do like a new logging and see sort of how things have
Mm-hmm.
changed, and every time I log in, it's different, it's bigger, and it's better. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's very exciting for somebody that I one would one would think that like, oh, but what's the longevity of an app like that? Like, sure, it opens for a couple of years while people are into tea, but then who knows what happens. And obviously
Mm-hmm.
that anything can happen. We've
Right.
seen that in the past few years, that anything can
Mm-hmm.
happen. But
Yep.
let's take this little interruption to take a peek inside my TPAL app. You can see I have a couple things logged. There's some articles. Click on Cultivar 21. You're going to get some basic details. You click on the details tab. You'll get all sorts of options of different details you can log, as well as your parameters. Sorry, guys. Um, we're back. So I was just talking upon longevity, and I was like, at a first glance, it's like, oh yeah, it'd be great if there was an awesome T app, but what could keep something like that interesting? Like what are, without giving away like all your future plans, like what are
Mm-hmm.
some goals you have going forward with MyTeaPal? Not just the app, but now, because now
Mm-hmm.
it's, I'd say it's more than an app. It's become its own community. So curious as to what your ideas are for the future.
Yeah, for sure. So, speaking of longevity, one comment I would make is that it's very dependent on the founder. Just like you and me, Unity has been going on for these many years, and I can see your passion in just sharing tea with others. And for me, I've been passionate for tea from 6 years now, and it's only been growing. So, and I think when choosing to work on my TPAL, I started with a long-term attitude. That's also why I didn't focus on, profitability in the beginning. Also, it
Mm-hmm.
was just a side project, but as I um, de started devoting more time and energy into it, I could see this as my mission, and I felt the calling for me to do this. So, um, looking back, I think um, I I certainly I wanted to um, work on something meaningful, and I think this is the most fulfilling work that I could be doing at the moment, and I'll definitely keep working on it. So over the past 2 or 3 years, after, I started just being more involved with the online tea community. I've seen some projects and a couple apps. Um, they started out, but then they faded quickly um, because perhaps the founders were not as passionate, and or because some other factors. But I think passion just plays such an important role in terms of sustaining the business. And so yeah. Speaking of this, do you have any comment to make?
I yeah, I'm glad you gave me the opportunity because I completely agree. It was the same reason of how I started doing Unity is just that I had once I connected my passion for tea to sharing that with other people and then seeing how other people of all different sorts responded to just me being the presenter of this is what this is, let me help break it down for you, and seeing how much easier a lot of people understood it for some reason when I explained it, that it just became all these building blocks of you always, I think all of us in life, what all of us really strive for is like purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had purposes in my life, like things to fight for, things to work towards. I had a photography business years ago that I gave my all, but not until getting into tea did I really just get catapulted in to the reality of that, and really what it is to feel that calling of it's not like this is something I should do. It's your whole self is telling you this is what you should be doing. Like
Yep,
this
exactly.
is your path. So like you, whatever means that is for me to continue my mission, I do. Like if one day the online store ceases to be, Unity would beyond continue. If the retail end of it were to end, it would most likely be because there was a what I at the time I guess would thought of as a better way to go about it. Like there is not a inch of me that ever could even imagine not being fully involved with not only tea but the tea community. And it goes beyond friends, it goes beyond customers, it goes beyond followers. It's I really do think that we're lucky to be involved and so passionate and have the calling in this profession, if you in the area of tea, because I think there's a whole lot to be gained on by each side. Like
Right.
yes, I help people, understand Gong Fu a little bit more, but how much those people and the interactions with those people, how much that teaches me about tea and how to talk about tea. And sometimes you realize you're start to fall away from your message a little bit, and then you notice that, and so then okay, now good, now I can correct my course. And but the course is the same as yours. It's sharing, a bit of education, and
Mm-hmm.
education based on experience. Like I definitely don't see you either as a person that is a gatekeeper of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Right.
somebody that when you talk with somebody less experienced, you don't say, I'm a master of tea, I know everything about it. Like I see
Yeah.
you very much still, even though you're very advanced, just like I am, but you're still completely on your learning mission. And it's
Mm-hmm.
I
We're all
think that's
students of tea.
yeah, it's such a lot of it sounds corny when you say it out loud at
Yeah.
first. Like at least to me it does sometimes. I hear that and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's so silly." But if I break it down, again, people ask, "Why are you so into tea?" Like, "Wow, Jeff, you are really passionate about tea." And it's like
Mm-hmm.
tea has, over time, the things it's provided me after me giving it a little bit of service, like after me
Mm-hmm.
paying my own respects to it, the return that I've gotten out of just respecting these leaves and trying to pass that respect on to other people, that alone, what I've gained personally, not just in tea knowledge, but what I've gained as a person through all those experiences is just extremely valuable. So it's a path that, again, there are times where it's really hard. There's times where you feel like you're doing everything wrong, that no one cares. Like I get all the time, I get these negative little voices in my head that are like, that was a waste of time. Or but as soon as I really, like, if I answer that negative voice and I say, you know, I argue why it wasn't a negative time, why it wasn't, and then all of a sudden you realize that it really wasn't a negative experience, that it continues to be a positive one. Um, so tea is something I'm extremely thankful for. I mean, it's introduced me. That's the reason for this podcast. Is, I mean, the interesting people that I've met and been able to work with, like you. Like I mean, having those early conversations, I remember them like yesterday, and to see then just a few years later, like where you are now,
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's just amazingly cool. Like it's
Thank you.
amazingly cool, especially that I know that you're continuing. And again, I don't encourage you at all to say that this is completed, but I would
Mm-hmm.
say that your original, like, this is what I want, I'd say to a degree. I mean, you've accomplished a lot of those. You're not fully accomplished because you're still working on them, but
Mm-hmm.
I think you have met your initial dream goal, which is, you step back and think about that in life. That's kind of wild. I mean,
Yeah.
you are one of those examples. You really are. You did not
Mm-hmm.
know app development. You were just a person with a lot of passion, and you saw there was a place that, even if you didn't know what you were doing, you didn't have the knowledge prior, you said, I want to get that knowledge, because by
Mm-hmm.
me getting that knowledge, I will then be able to advance this
Right.
dream. And
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the things that we were talking about, even the social media aspect of it, at first we were talking, we're like, that's the dream, but you were like, but that is an error. Like, first, it's just got to be like, that's adding so many other layers onto things. You're like,
That's
I
too
have to,
complicated.
you're like, you were just like, but you didn't look at it and say, this is complicated, and then
Mm-hmm.
go, well, I guess it's just not going to have a, it's never going to have like a social media communal aspect to it within
Right.
the app. It'd be very
Yeah.
easy to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
again, you mustered up the strength, the energy, and contacted people that you knew that were people that were maybe a little more knowledgeable on this. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm sure there were a lot of people that were very willing to answer your questions.
Yeah, I think people tend to have a soft hearts for college students. Yeah, and I was in our um, entrepreneurship program, so I had some mentors who have been really helpful for me in the beginning stage. Yeah, so very thankful for everyone who helped me along the way. And like you said, I met so many interesting people in the T space, and they helped me broaden my horizons and see a bigger world outside of my university bubble, because I wasn't able to meet people from all walks of life in while being in at Duke, because everyone seems to be striving for a few major paths that people take. But I think people in the T space, we tend to be outliers, and we take path that's traveled by others.
Yep. I think that's why tea people connect so well and so often, is because even though we may have different interests, we come from different places. I think to be into tea to this level, like into the Gong Fu Cha level of tea,
Mm-hmm.
I think you almost have unlocked a certain area of your brain to
Mm-hmm.
get in there. And I think that people that have unlocked that area of their brain and consciousness, I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's easily recognizable. Like when
Right.
you meet a tea person that you're really inspired by, I mean, don't you usually recognize that with pretty soon after meeting them?
Yeah,
Pretty
we
soon
just
after
resonates. Yeah,
yeah.
resonate with each other. Yeah.
And I think about the personally how often that happens with me, with people from
Mm-hmm.
all over the world that don't speak my language. I don't speak their language, but and that's like my story with a lot of connecting with the tea farmers that I work with.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them don't speak English. It's just but they're very passionate about the leaves that they make. They see that I'm very passionate and that
Mm-hmm.
I want to honor those leaves. And I not only am maybe interested in buying them, but that I really want to then tell people about
Mm-hmm.
the hard work that put into this and the
Right.
appreciation so that that can get carried on to the next person. Um, and the fact that, you know, a guy from upstate New York with no knowledge of Mandarin or international business or even knowing much about Asian culture. I knew very little about Asian culture. I loved it, but I didn't know a lot about it getting into like Gong Fu Cha and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
even the
Now you know.
even the Chinese, like think about Chinese, Taiwanese, Japanese histories. I know so much more about that. You know, yes, I sat through a history class years ago, but none of the information stuck. But now that I've
Mm-hmm.
got this passion in tea, this brings the relevance to it, and
Mm-hmm.
there's just a million things that I'm extremely thankful for, and I'm always really thankful to know people like you and to meet people like you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so what do you have coming up that you're excited about? Do you have anything in particular? I know you
Mm-hmm.
said that eventually you're going to have a new release, which is
Right.
exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, we just went from talking about product roadmap to talking about passion, but I'm loving the conversation with you, and
Well,
I
that's why
think what you said.
I was like, just keep going with it. That's good.
Yeah, yeah, it's been fun, and I think you said it really well. Some points that really I agree with you, and then I the last thing you were talking about is the tea community is so global, and we're all united by our shared passion in tea, and that's also something that I after I started my Facebook community after releasing the app, I wanted to create a space for my app users to connect. So and it just grew, and now we have over 1,800 members in the community. So and from everyone's introduction posts, I learned so much about the tea culture in different places around the world, and I was connected with some members and became close friends with them, and I learned so much from them. So this kind of relates to your question about what's coming up, uh, because um, maybe I should take a step back a little bit, just talking about the community. So there are a few things that I'm working on besides app development. So like the community that I talked about, I started it in the end of 2020 after I released the app, and I just um, um, wanted to have a community for my app users and host some events, some virtual events. So I started running weekly events for people to join Zoom sessions and taste tea, discuss tea together. But then there was one thing that's missing, which is we're not drinking the same tea. So that makes the discussion a bit, it's maybe not as relevant or relating, right?
Less
So I was,
focused.
yeah, I was just wishing, what if we're drinking the same tea? That would be like sitting at the same tea table and talking about the tea. So I had the idea in early 2021, and I always wanted to just share tea with others and talk about those tasting notes and brewing methods. So I had the idea, but then I came back to China in June 2021. So mid last year, exactly a year ago. Today, last year this time, I finally got out of my 3 week quarantine. So yeah, I returned last year, and um, I was able to visit tea fields, tea mountains, and learn about tea processing and growing, and travel around to learn about all kinds of teas. So that was a very great learning opportunity. And but still, I wasn't clear about how to manage international shipping. Like, how do I ship to those countries? And
Yeah.
yeah, and I wasn't that familiar with the what do you call it, supply chain in the tea industry. Like, I was just purchasing tea for my own consumption, and I get tea from people I'm familiar with, but I'm not quite familiar with, you know, buying tea in bulk, and or like packing and shipping. But
Mhm.
then after I knew more about learn more about the supply side of the tea industry, and also the logistics. Then I uh, had an idea for starting a tea club. So I posted a Facebook post on our community like in the end of last year, and then I got some interest from people. Then I created a group chat, and then I started sourcing tea in Sichuan province, because that's where I'm at, and I'm most familiar with the teas from here. Although what I was drinking mainly was some rock tea and pu'er, but
Yeah.
but Sichuan teas, I didn't know much about them before. But after coming back home and visiting Ya'an for the first time, well, yeah, that's the home of giant pandas, and that's where the Mongding Mountain is located. So it's pretty famous for tea production. Tibetan tea, Sichuan, like Mongding Ganlu, etc. All these kind of teas come from Ya'an, and Mongding Huangya, the yellow bud. So I learned about of those teas, and I want to share these teas with others. So that's also why I posted about the tea club. So I was doing this kind of Sichuan tea sampler for my community members. So I did this trial this year from January to March. So I featured Sichuan green tea and the black tea and Tibetan tea, which is a dark tea. And I prepared those teas in the end of last year, and like 100 portions for each. Then I got plenty of interest from others, and then started running this tea club. So that kicked off, and that became the focus of what I was working on in the past half a year. And that's what distracted me from coding. Yeah. So
Good
um,
distraction, though. Good distraction.
yeah, yeah, right. So yeah, I'm very happy about the Global Tea Club, and with that, our community members and app users could receive the same teas every month, and then join Zoom sessions every weekend to discuss those teas. Recently, we've been hosting tasting sessions on rock tea. It's from the collaboration with We-Star. I went to Weishan in the end of April till early May to do some live sessions to introduce people to Wishan, its culture, and about rock tea processing, and show them the landscape and tea fields in Wishan. So, people have really been enjoying attending those sessions, and they learn new things from others because you might not have discovered this, some kind of tasting notes from this, or you don't know how to brew this tea, and those attendees would just help each other and they'll make friends. And it's all virtual. So it's really magical to see that happen. And so besides the tea club, so the tea club kind of emerged from our Facebook community. And so now it's mainly three things. I think there's app, there's this our community, and then there's a tea club. And
How does someone sign up? How does someone sign up for this? Like, say someone's listening to this and they're like, "Holy crap, guys! Just get to the part. How can I get it?" If somebody's interested, like, how do you sign up?
Thank you for asking. Yeah, so it's just on our website, myteapal.com, and /club. Well, there's the linking to that link in the front page.
And I'll get all your links. We'll put them in the descriptions.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so the tea club is a subscription box, and you can choose different plans, and you can get gift tea wares when you sign up. Like what I'm using is my teapal tasting cup. I'll show you.
That's my favorite shape. It's a good size
really?
too. Yeah, that's my favorite shape of cup. Beautiful.
I should send you one next time, because when I sent the poor package to you, this is not made yet. So I have a guy one too. Let me show you.
Oh, I love the plain white. I love a classic white Gaiwan.
Thank you. Yeah,
I love fancy glazes too, but there's personally, people always ask like, "Oh, what is your favorite teaware?" My favorite teaware is a porcelain white Gaiwan. It's
simplicity.
And there's so many reasons that like people say you should like the white ones. Is well, yes, it shows the liqueur color better, and I don't know exactly what it is, but it's my favorite for almost every type of tea. So it's a good one to pick if you're gonna like brand a set like that.
Right.
Porcelain's your best way to go.
Yeah, white porcelain is used for professional tea cupping. So yeah, it's good for evaluating the tea quality. And it's plain, it's simple. Yeah, but simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
And so your newest one was the Unytea?
Yeah, so what I'm drinking now is actually from our July tea club, which was shipped 2 weeks ago. So I'm drinking this. This is a Guadun smoked Zhenshan Xiaozhong. So Lapsang Suchong from Tongmu village. So it's gonna be black tea themed in July. Our June box is a rock tea box, and May box was the Shenpuer theme. So this is for July, 6 black teas, 3 from Tongmu, 1 from Sichuan, 1 from Guizhou, but both used Fujianese cultivars. So this month's theme is Fujianese black tea. So 3 from Tongmu, and 1 is the Tanyang Gongfu. That's one of the 3 Gongfu black tea from Fujian. So yeah, those 6 teas. And then August will be white tea, and currently tasting a few samples and trying to choose. Yeah.
What areas are you looking at for the white tea?
Yeah, I'm still debating whether I should separate Fujian white tea and Yunnan white tea, because they're pretty different. And I think in Fujian, then you can divide into Fuding, and then Zhenghe. I'm currently only looking at Fuding white tea. It's more famous, and it's lots of people say that. Yeah. Anyway, but it's more accessible, or so.
It's I know it's got the reputation and it's expensive, but personally, my favorite
Hmm.
white tea is Fuding. It
I
really
see.
is. I
Yeah.
really love the airy, just it when you drink it, it makes me feel like I'm floating. Like it's just
Mm.
I absolutely love it. But that being said, there are like Yunnan where
Hmm.
it's a completely different a white tea, a Bai Mudan from there and a Bai Mudan from Fuding are very, very different.
Yeah.
I do agree, you may actually be smarter, maybe splitting them up, but
Yeah.
isn't the tea tasting process kind of fun? I mean, it's hard because sometimes you have to triple guess yourself and say,
Hmm.
is this just me? Do I just really like this tea? Will other people like this tea?
Mm.
Um, but I love getting in those packages and trying new producers, and
Yeah.
that's one of my
Definitely.
absolute favorite things about having a tea business is just being able to sample, and that in time just brings your experience level just up through the roof because you're just
Hmm.
going to be all along the way but every time you sample one that you don't like or you don't go for, that still goes in your memory and you still remember
Right.
the experience. Well, okay, for the last time, we're running out of time. I'm pretty sure we could go on and on and on, and I'm sure we'll have to maybe pick up and do another podcast sometime.
Yep.
But what's your preferred method to be contacted?
Well, you can reach out to me on Instagram at myteapal.app, or on Facebook. You can find my TeaPal community, and you'll see me there, or from my email, Vincent at myteapal.com.
And you like me, you're very easy to contact. You're very
Hmm.
welcoming for questions. So if people do
Yep.
have questions, guys, Vincent is
Yeah. Just reach out. Yep.
more than happy to answer your questions. Well,
Yeah. Happy to
it's
connect.
like I said, it really is a pleasure to know you. I'm proud of you to see what you've started and where it is and where it's going. I'm so on board with my TPAL app. Like anytime I have an ability to have a conversation about you or the app, I open it with a smile on my face. So I thank you, and
Hmm.
I wish you nothing but the best of luck. Everybody knows how to reach out to you. But Vincent, thank you once again. I'll do a last cheers to you, but
Right. Thank
until
you, Jeff.
next time,
Thank you for having me. It's great catching up with you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. And I think we have lots of shared value and passion, interest, and also all the best to you, to your podcast, and Unity.
thank you very much, Vincent. Cheers.
All right, cheers.